Hello and welcome to Hexatalk, an industry refresher powered by Hexanica. I'm your host Aditi Iyer, and today we have Yogesh Pandit with us, founder and CEO of Hexanica. Welcome, Yogesh.
Thank you, Aditi. It's great to connect again.
Likewise. So, according to a recent study published by Gartner, data fabric deployments will reduce manual data management tasks by 50% by 2023. An architecture with a data fabric integrates data and can also learn where data is being used and make recommendations for more different and better data. The result is reduction in management effort and quicker capture of the value of data. So, Yogesh, if you had to describe data fabric and its purpose, how would you do it?
See, essentially, what data fabric means, it's a possibility of a single environment with unified, if I can say, self-service architecture that helps organization to focus on their data. And ultimate goal of the data fabric is to maximize the value of data and accelerate the transformation. And today, if you see whether it's large banks or smaller institutions like community banks and credit unions, they all have different issues in optimizing the data. And data fabric as a new concept, it's a new lexicon, if I can say, or new terminology, essentially tries to address these various problems that the large banks have and the smaller financial institutions have.
Right. So, what are the practices for implementing and managing data fabric?
So, before I go to the practices, I would like to also define some of the purposes and how essentially a financial institution can do it, right? So what I can clearly say is, and I'll come to the outcome as well. The first thing that a data fabric architecture does is it can connect to different types, different formats, different architecture like cloud versus on-premise, etc. And that flexibility exists from data sourcing standpoint. The second thing that a data fabric environment does is it has the data sourcing plus data ingestion capabilities, and ingestion meaning capability of normalization, standardization, simplification, validation, transformation, all these things embedded into the software. That's one thing. The next thing that it does that is very important is it also at the same time provides capability to manage data quality, data aggregation, data preparation, and most importantly, it is end-to-end governed in the right way, whether it's data auditability, data traceability, data governance. And this is all essentially bolstered or feeded by the new technologies being cloud, and all the top cloud providers have their own data platforms, artificial intelligence, machine learning, cognitive, combination of all these combined essentially into one platform, one architecture is something that I would say a data fabric does.
Right. Well said, Yogesh. So, how would you like to conclude this?
So basically, before concluding, I would like to say what are the top advantages of the data fabric environment. And I would like to very quickly that data fabric as a concept, as well as from implementation standpoint, varies for larger institutions and smaller institutions. And let me explain. For large banks, if I have to give an example of or analogy, you have a fantastic dress that you want to build, and from fabric standpoint, large banks already have built that dress by getting different clothes or cloth of different colors. And what has happened is the fashion is changing and the utility is changing, the weather is changing, what I want to say, and the dress needs to be continuously changed, maintained, and etc. And for large banks, because they have built it with various accessories, various clothes, various fabrics, it's very, very, very complex. So large banks need to take a different approach when it comes to application of data fabric. When it comes to smaller institutions, and sometimes it's always said that it's better to be later in terms of technology. Smaller institutions like community banks and credit unions can adopt data fabric from get-go. What importantly it happens is, it can support the structured, unstructured data. There are significant manual processes in community banks, credit unions, where they have to review documents. They have operational reconciliations that they have to do on daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. All that can be automated. The second thing is, as these smaller institutions merge, become bigger, data fabric as a model can scale up extremely easily compared to traditional environments. The next is, data fabric environment can manage both the hybrid, meaning you can be on cloud or you can be in premise. It can have manage multiple hybrid models from in terms of data storage as well. And most importantly, a lot of smaller institutions are struggling. Where do I start? What do I do? Do I have people? Do I have the resources? Do I have the time? And the data fabric architecture or concept essentially accelerates the pace of insights, data insights, the digital transformation, or getting into analytics. And that is very, very, very important. Also, what is most important is it reduces IT or technology intervention compared to the traditional data models. So these are some of the very important benefits that smaller institutions need to think about. And that's why data fabric as a concept is extremely important. There are several utilities, platforms that are built from data fabric standpoint. And this is, if I can say, data-driven robotics or data-driven automation. And that is what data fabric can do. That allows institutions to bring significant value to the data that they have. But as I mentioned, when it comes to the implementation for large banks, this concept is different versus smaller institutions. Back to you.
That was quite an interesting analogy that you put in, Yogesh. This is a very interesting session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditi. And let's continue this conversation. This is extremely important for financial services industry, and data fabric is changing the name of the game.
Definitely. Thank you.